For the first time in history, credit card debt for Americans has hit $1 trillion, to be exact, $1,003 billion. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That big number made public as consumers brace for yet another potential rate hike as policymakers try to keep inflation in check.
Our new CBS News poll shows widespread pessimism about the economy. Roughly two-thirds describe it as bad. Most say the economy's struggling and uncertain. Personally, 70% of working Americans say those paychecks can't keep up with rising prices. Most say, at best, financially they're staying in place. But more than one-third say they're falling behind. Nearly half, 45%, think the Biden administration's actions are increasing inflation.
An Alabama mom going viral for her rant about her millennial Gen Z kids.
But not for the reason you might think. She says that she feels helpless as a parent as the American dream becomes increasingly difficult for younger generations to attain.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me. Why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has changed. Yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning.
No kidding. And Jessica
That is 100% on point. And I've touched on that before. You know, this Bidenomics, you know, that this administration is currently touting and bragging about. Bidenomics. Yeah, Bidenomics is the death of the American dream. It's the death of being able to move throughout the tax bracket, so to speak. It's stagnation, if not total decline. Okay. Nobody's able to, or the average person isn't able to just say, you know what? I'm just going to bust my behind and I'm going to get it. No. Stuff's just way too expensive. You don't have the opportunity to do that anymore due to Bidenomics. Gas prices are astronomical. Grocery prices are astronomical. I mean, it's just through the roof. I mean, $100 in groceries is like 2 bags. 2 bags. That used to be a whole cart. Used to be you could get a whole cart of groceries for $100. Now you get 2 bags of groceries, maybe 3 if you're lucky. If you're getting some you know super cheap stuff, if you're really digging deep, you know what I mean? Like you might get 3 bags. It used to be a whole carton of groceries, $100. This stuff has gotten ridiculous. I recently saw there's like a Big Mac, you know, kind of thing where people compare, you know, Big Macs to wages back then. You were able to work an hour, right, back in the day, and that hour actually bought you several Big Macs. Now you work an hour and it barely buys you 1 Big Mac, if one at all, depending on where you live. Which is just absolutely crazy. You can work an entire hour on minimum. Now, this is just minimum wage, obviously. But you can work an entire hour and not be able to afford a Big Mac. Listen, now, obviously, this isn't like the bottom dollar burger at McDonald's, of course. But we are talking about McDonald's. This is supposed to be like the cheap stuff. The cheap stuff. You can't buy a Big Mac, or barely could buy 1 Big Mac after working an hour. That's Bidenomics for you. That's Bidenomics. Yeah, go ahead and brag about it. Goodness gracious. So, hey, this lady is definitely on point with what she's saying here.
Cabe, who went viral, joins us live. Jessica, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I understand in the aftermath, you've been slammed by a lot of Gen Xers who thought that the comments were inappropriate, but your son, who read some of the comments, actually feels like he's less alone. There are a lot of people in the same boat.
Yes, and I think that's one thing that we need to take away from is that it's not 1988 anymore. We have to, as parents, realize that the economy has changed. I understand inflation, prices always go up. But I think that lately the wages are not keeping up with how big the inflation has gotten, and we have to listen to our children.
We're looking at these beautiful pictures. Gosh, you have gorgeous kids, and it looks like a grandchild there, too. What was your reaction to 11 million people can relate to this and viewed this?
That was a little unexpected, because honestly, the reason why I made the video is because I was so frustrated. I went out yet again with my son to go try to find an apartment he can afford, and we just kept getting backdrops or half the places I felt like should have been condemned that he could afford, and the other half they were wanting 4 times your rent. They wanted you to show that you can make 4 times that. So I was getting frustrated, but I hear all the other Gen Zs and millennials in my comments saying that they finally feel seen, because I think us as Gen X, we forget that it's not the same as it is now for our kids. And we think, well, we did it, so they should be able to too. And we need to be their advocate. I didn't have kids to watch them suffer their entire life.
Right. And real quick, are your kids going to change careers? What's your advice to them? What have they learned from this, Jessica?
It is frustrating because he went to college, and I understand that most places want experience, even though you had a college degree. So the first job that he got right out of college was only paying $19 an hour. Now, that's better than minimum wage, but even since being there, he's gotten a raise, another $22 an hour. That used to be a good amount when I was growing up.
Yeah, me too.
$22 an hour should let you live, and how come it doesn't?
Well, we've got your video on foxandfriends.com. Jessica, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thanks, Jessica. We wish them all the best.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Yeah, $22. I mean, you definitely should be able to live off of that. Now, obviously, it depends on where you live. Of course, if you live in an expensive area, $22 ain't gonna really get you very far. So that may be an issue, depending on things you buy, and obviously there needs to be some adjustments, because I also think that there's this entitlement thing going on, especially with younger generations, because of social media. The comparison to each other is so easy now, right? And people don't realize the thief of joy is comparison. Like, enjoy your life. You don't know what that person went through, what that person got, what this other person, because I've heard some crazy stories. I've heard some wild stories about, especially some of these young ladies that are posting about these lavish trips and, sitting in these fancy cars. I've heard some stories about what these young ladies had to do in order to, be seen in some of these places, okay? Things that I won't even speak of, because this is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, we're not going to even dive down that rabbit hole. I'll spare y'all that one. So, I mean, you have to take that into account. And then also, like, not everybody has the same path in life. Not everybody goes the same route in life. Some people, maybe some of those people who you see posting about stuff are handed that stuff. Maybe the post that you see somebody posting about, that's an old post that they just keep refreshing, right? Because what you see on social media, and I've said this before, is highlights of people's highlight, right? People take the highlight of their lives, and then they take the highlight moments of that, and that's what you get to see. Nobody's posting about, couldn't pay my rent this month, getting evicted, car broke down, I can't afford to fix it. Nobody's posting about that kind of stuff. You never see that. You never see it. I'm sure somebody somewhere is posting about it, technically, of course. But for the most part, you don't see that kind of stuff. You see the highlights of people's lives, and you see the highlights. The highlights of people's lives and the highlight moments of that, right? And that's all you get to see. You get to see the very best of the best. People at their very best angle, sucking in the stomach, flexing. The lighting is perfect. That's what you get to see. You don't get to see them just chilling in a chair with the pudgy gut, right? Stomach hanging out all, you know what I'm saying? For example, right? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive for that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive to be in shape or strive to, go on the lavish vacation or have the lavish car or whatever. If that's what you want to do, strive for it. But don't be down because you don't have it while they allegedly do, Maybe they don't. Maybe they just had an opportunity to take a picture there or take a picture in the car, But then also, part of it is true in the fact that, I think we have to acknowledge both sides of the equation. What in the world? we have to acknowledge both sides of the equation, in that what I just said, right? People looking at highlights of highlights, but then also, with Bidenomics, people, even when they work hard, truly can't afford a lot of this stuff. And that's the shame of it all. The death of the American dream. I truly believe right now in Bidenomics, the American dream is dead for the average American. It's dead. This administration can try to spin it, however they want to, up, down, flip it upside, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter, but the American dream for the average American is officially dead. It's dead. Currently, in my humble opinion. And it was just alive and well a few years ago. It was just alive and well. And of course, it'll be back. It'll be back in 2025. But currently, as we sit, it's dead, in my humble opinion. But as always, that's just my personal opinion. Y'all can let me know how y'all feeling in the comment section. Do you feel the American dream is still alive right now, today? I personally don't. But y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comment section below. Peace and love, family. I'm out.